First, set the battery switch on the electrical panel on the right side console to power. Now set the inverter switch on the same panel to standby. With electrical power now running, we can take a moment to test the caution and warning systems to make sure that we will receive warnings in case something goes wrong during startup. To do this, press and hold the lamp test button on the auxiliary lighting panel on the left console. Everything looks good. Now let's test the fuel indicator to make sure it's functional and accurate. The fuel indicator is located on the right side of the front dash. When tested, the two needles should point to 3,000 pounds, and the digital tonalizer readout should be around 6,000 pounds. On the oxygen regulator panel, set the supply switch to on, and check for oxygen flow to be indicated in the flow window. Press the Oxy In Test oxygen indicator test button to test the oxygen remaining indicator. Watch the Oxy Low caution light on the caution lights panel to turn on when the indication falls below 0.5 liters. Set the VHF AM frequency mode dial to TR, transceiver. Now repeat the process for the VHF FM radio. Set the UHF radio function dial to main to power the UHF radio. We are now ready to begin the engine start sequence, but let's first close the canopy to minimize the noise. Right-click and hold the canopy control switch to lower the canopy, or press left control plus C on the keyboard. First, we need to provide power to the boost pumps of the left and right wing tanks and left and right fuselage tanks. You will find the four switches on the fuel system control panel toward the top of the left console. Before starting the engines, we need to start the auxiliary power unit, APU, which will generate bleed air used to start the main engines. Now let's return to the electrical panel and set the APU generator switch to the power position. While on the electrical panel and in preparation of the engine start sequence, let's also set the left and right AC generators up to power. Okay, time to crank up the left engine. This is a very simple process initiated simply by moving the left throttle from off to idle or pressing the right Alt plus home keys. As the engine spools up, scan the engine monitoring instruments panel to watch the engine interstage turbine temperature, ITT, engine core speed, fan speed, and fuel flow gauges. Watch for the core fan RPM to stabilize around 60% when idling on the ground. You will also notice the left hydraulic system's pressure begin to build. This will normalize between 2,800 and 3,350 psi. We'll now repeat the process for the right engine. Once again, the engine is started by moving the throttle from off to idle, or in this case, pressing the right control plus home keys. As with the left engine, monitor the instrumentation as the right engine spools up. Once you have both engines running normally at idle power, you can do a flight controls check to test the responsiveness of the controls to stick and rudder input. Test the speed brakes and flaps. With both engines now running and powering the left and right AC generators, we can turn off the APU generator on the electrical panel and then the APU itself on the throttle panel. Okay, now we'll power up the control display unit, CDU, and the embedded GPS INS IGE systems. This will begin the automated built-in test, BIT, and alignment processes for the navigation system, which you can monitor on the CDU display on the right console. Uncage the standby attitude indicator, SAI, on the front dash. To do this, turn the SAI cage knob to the left by rolling your mouse wheel down over the knob. Once uncaged, roll the wheel back to set the SAI aircraft indicator level on the horizon. Turn on the multifunction color displays, MFCDs, by left-clicking twice on the power switch for each display. While we are waiting for the CDU bit and IGE alignment to complete, we can continue the startup sequence. Turn on the Central Interface Control Unit, CICU, on the Armament HUD Control Panel, AHCP, on the front dash. Now set the Integrated Flight and Fire Control Computer, IFFCC, switch to the test position by left-clicking once. Press the ENT Enter button on the upfront controller, UFC, to initiate the IFFCC bit. Set the left and right yaw and pitch SAS channels on the SAS panel on the left console to on. Now press the TO trim button to set the flight controls for takeoff trim. Let's upload data from the data cartridge. Select Load All on the left MFCD by pressing the Option Select button 10. Once the data is loaded, set the right MFCD to display CDU data by pressing OSB 13. The IFFCC bit is now complete. As you can see on the HUD, the exit function is currently pointed to by the HUD cursor. Press the Enter key on the UFC to exit this HUD menu. The IFCC is now displaying the ground bit menu on the HUD, where you can run a number of other bits if necessary. To exit out of this menu, press the Select Rocker key on the UFC down repeatedly until the HUD cursor points to exit again. Then press Enter to exit this menu. Let's take the IFFCC out of test mode and set it to on by left-clicking the IFFCC switch one more time. Let's set the left MFCD to the Tactical Awareness Display TAD page by pressing OSB 15. Now load up the flight plan. Right-click the steer point switch on the AAP panel to set it to flight plan. Set the countermeasure signal processor mode switch on the CMSP panel to standby. 4A. Now set the four system select switches to on, middle position. Next, set the Joint Tactical Radio System JTRS switch on the AHCP to on. With the IGI aligned, let's select CDU nav mode by pressing OSB 9 on the right MFCD. Select the EGI as the primary navigation system on the Navigation Mode Select panel. Next, arm the Enhanced Attitude Control EAC switch on the Low Altitude Safety and Targeting Enhancement LACD panel on the left console. Turn on the radar altimeter. At this point, we are ready to taxi to the runway. Set the anti-skid switch to on. Now turn on the nose wheel steering by pressing the pinky button on the control stick or insert on the keyboard. Click on the yellow handle to arm the ejection seat. So we will end our startup lesson here.